Bror Fredrik coming at you with another episode of Hey Bror Fredrik. In today's episode, I'm going to answer the question, who should I tip in Vegas and why? It's a popular question and it's not exactly, at least in my opinion, what you might think. So normally I take a right about here and we go down the strip, but today we're going to take a left and see what's going on with this crazy construction that I keep talking about. That is not going to be complete until the year 2023. Generally, I always say avoid this if possible, but it is about 11 o'clock on a Monday morning, so I thought we might check it out. You might have to forgive the occasional pothole bump, but let's see exactly what's going on as we get into this episode. For those of you new to the channel, again, my name's Bror Fredrik, local Las Vegas-based photographer, videographer, cinematographer, and part-time philosopher. So I wanted to drop this tipping knowledge on you today. I welcome you to subscribe, like, share, hit that bell button to get notified when I go live, which is twice a week from the strip on Tuesday afternoons and Thursday nights as of the time of this recording. So let's get into it. Who should I tip and why? We've all seen, well, most of us have seen the movie Casino. And in one of the opening scenes of the movie Casino, they always talk about tipping the valet people because the valet people know everything, what's going on in town and all this other stuff. So first off the bat, I wanted to dispel that myth because it's basically bunk. Maybe that's how everything took place back in the 70s when that was supposed to take place. But in today's Las Vegas, that's not the case. The valet parkers are just doing their job. They're parking your car. They're retrieving your car. So you're not going to get any valuable inside tips on how to get penthouse suites from your average valet guy. I'm not saying do not tip them, because, I mean, okay, think about it this way. In the grand scheme of things, the valet park, say here, where we're standing in front of the Encore right now, it's going to cost you $20, and that's not going to the valet people. And most of these properties are actually hiring outside companies to do a lot of their parking and their parking structures and all the rest of that. So you're already paying the premium. So it's okay to tip these guys when they bring the car, you know, a couple bucks, but you already paid 20, so, or 25 or 30, whatever the case may be. So I'm not saying do not tip these guys. And you see Resort World, they're running their big screen, which seems to be a little buggy right now. Some of it's out up on the left, and we are at the Encore on the right. I'm not saying don't tip these guys, but if they go above and beyond, they certainly deserve another tip. And one example of going above and beyond is when I valet, I ask them to keep the car out front. And you'll always notice they always have parking outside in the front. Now that is a benefit to me if they make room for me to keep my car, because even if you're in the valet, the only thing that the valet is saving you, one, it's a nice experience. Two, they're saving you the trouble of walking to a parking garage. Other than that, it takes about the same amount of time. You know, now everything's with the scan and the barcode and the Q code and all that, and you're still standing there for 15 minutes. So, you know, it didn't actually save you time, although it might have been a little more convenient. Now, if you tip the guy in advance to leave it up front, they basically toss you your keys, bring the car around, or let you walk to it, and you're gone. And that is a great experience. That is worth tipping. So I'm not saying don't tip the valet guys. You know, they're working hard, busting their asses in the heat, in the cold, whatever. But it's not like the movie Casino, where these are the guys who are in the know and all this other stuff. They just want to go home after a hard day with a couple bucks in their pockets. So if they go above and beyond, tip them above and beyond. Other than that, you know, normal tip is adequate. Okay, the two next people, or three people for tipping, are not what most people think. And that is the reason why I decided to make this video in the first place. to cover the things that most people don't think about. We think about the cocktail waitress. We think about the front desk person, and we're going to get into those in a little bit. But these are the ones I want you to think about. These are the people who are making these casinos pleasant for you. And they're the people that most people wouldn't even think to tip. The number one casino employee in this town that I'd say deserves a tip is, let me see what you think first. Bathroom attendants. Bathroom attendants deserve a tip. Okay, you could say, well, they work for the union, you know, they're getting paid well. Okay, 15 bucks an hour, maybe 17, in some places 12, in some places downtown 9. Their work environment is a number 2 factory. Their work environment is people at their worst. Their work environment is bodily functions, regardless of which end it's coming out in. They have to clean up after you. They have to clean up after throngs and throngs and throngs of people all day long. Most of them, some of them drunk, missing bowls, you know, some people puking. It's not all roses. So just take a step back for a second and think about what it's like to work 8 hours in a public bathroom. And regardless of how much they get paid, can you be paid enough to work in a public bathroom? The bathroom attendants are the people you need to show extra courtesy to. You know, whatever you can do to make their life easier. I'm not saying wipe down the bowl or anything afterwards. Oh, there's a bump. Bam. You know, do your business, get out in the most cleanly fashion you can. And on the way out, they used to have tip jars, and in some hotels, that was the norm. Not so much anymore. Circus Circus on the left, Stratosphere off in the distance. Again, beautiful morning. Construction isn't as bad this time of day, but it is brutal at night. You just sit and sit and sit. So we're gonna go downtown, have us a little look around while we have this chat. So tip your bathroom attendants. Doesn't have to be a lot. I mean, if you're feeling generous, you know, whatever, slide him a 20, slide her a 20, I don't know. And I'm speaking of the men's bathrooms. I don't know exactly what takes place in the women's room. So drop that in the comments. Are the women's room bathrooms in the properties actually cleaner? Because the men's, depending on which property it is, depending on what night it is, depending the volume of the crowd, is it a holiday weekend, they can go from pristine to absolute nastiness, and they have to keep on top of that. Remember, it's these people's work environment. They wake up in the morning knowing that their work environment, that they're gonna spend 8 hours of their day in a number 2 poo factory. So bear that in mind, treat these people with respect, say hello to them, greet them. I mean, don't neglect the fact that these people are doing an incredible job to keep these places clean and safe. And some of them might say, I can't accept a tip or something like that. That's okay. Learn the $5, learn how to cup a bill in your hand and learn how to give them the little high five or a slap, and, you know, pass the money on that way. And if they say no, some properties don't allow these people, porters and people in that position, to accept tips. But the fact that you offered will make these people's day. Give these people the recognition they deserve. I doubt you would want to be in a number 2 poo factory for 8 hours a day. So treat these people with the utmost respect, because they're doing the job. You know, they're doing the job that you probably will not want to do. Okay. The number 2 person that I would say deserves tips and probably doesn't receive as many as you would think, because a lot of people don't think about it. They say, hey, you know, I'm paying $100 for this room. Hey, we're coming up on the Las Vegas sign, and that's supposed to be lit up, some kind of grand affair later on this week, so I will take you there. So you're paying $100 to stay at a room, or even $10, whatever the case may be. You're paying to stay in a room, and you just say, well, the room is getting cleaned anyway. That's part and parcel. But what you have to understand about housekeepers, and housekeepers are number 2 on my list for people to tip, because again, they're in your room. They are taking care of your room. They're cleaning your room. They're in the number 2, poopster factory, cleaning up after you and whatever. Not saying you're a pig, but their job is still cleaning up bathrooms and wastes and garbage pails and all this other type of stuff. And it's an overlooked thing that people do not tip. Now, what you have to understand about their job is this. If you understand what their job is, you can see why it would be important to tip these people. The housekeepers in all of these casinos, they run on a very, very, very tight, aggressive schedule. When they accept this job, and some people stay at this job for life because it generally is a secure job. Lately, or maybe even for the past couple of years, it's been an on-call job. So you're called in when the volume of people staying in the hotel warrants having you there. And the criteria for their job is the amount of rooms that they clean in a day. It is absolutely mandated that they clean X amount of rooms per day. So it's not like, they're just moving along and doing their thing and the staff's unlimited. Some of these hotels, granted they pay pretty decent, anywhere from $15 an hour and up, which, in this day and age, I guess it's decent, but I guess it's not. Some of them have been there longer, could be making 17 or 18, but still, the amount of work, wow, that's gonna get loud for a second. The amount of work that they do is unbelievable. Some of these properties say that they have to clean anywhere from 15 to 25 rooms a day. And that is back-breaking work. I know we've all run a vacuum cleaner. I know we've all done that. But picture bending and shaking and being on your knees and on the floor and scrubbing and cleaners and all the rest of that in an absolute frenzied rush, because if they don't do their 15 rooms a day, or up to, I've heard as high as 20 rooms per day. If you average that out, the average workday being 7 hours, and then you take into account all the moving back and forth between the rooms, they have 20 minutes to hustle through a room. So picture cleaning your house. Granted, there's ways to do it more efficiently that they've figured out, but it is back-breaking work, absolute back-breaking work that these people perform, and they're performing it for you. So yeah, they do deserve a little more. What do you give them? I don't know. Do they go, like I said, whenever someone goes above and beyond the call of duty, if you've bugged them your entire trip for extra towels and fluffier pillows and all that, yeah, they deserve a little more. If they've just been cleaning your room, yeah, they deserve a tip regardless, in my opinion, in this guy's opinion, because they're underappreciated staff. And they generally stay in that position for their entire career. I know people who started in these places and they're gonna retire being room cleaner, being housekeepers. And at 60, late 50s, into your 60s, it's back-breaking work, yet they continue to do it. And very rarely is there opportunity to move out of that position, because there might be one supervisor for an entire floor. So one person they choose to elevate, and everyone else cleans rooms for 20 years, for 25 years. So yes, little extra tip goes a long way. Sometimes when I stay in the hotels, I put a do not disturb from the time I'm in there to the time I leave, because I don't want the traffic in and out. I don't want the knock on the door, but I still leave a tip because these are underappreciated employees. What do you tip? That's completely up to you, depending on the room. I mean, if you're staying in a $10 room, you know, whatever. But if you're staying at the Wynn or you're staying in a nicer place, and let me tell you something, the nicer places are the strictest when it comes to the amount of rooms that you have to do in a day. If you don't live up to that, you're not going to get the call in. You're going to have problems, and they've let people go as they've slowed down. Now, when you hit a certain age, they do cut you a little slack, but if you can't do the job, there's 100 people waiting to do that same job behind them. I generally tip anywhere from $5 to $10 per night, and I leave it on the nightstand for them, sometimes with a little handwritten note. You know, if you see them, actually give it to them. That's not a bad thing to do either. So that's the number 2 person. The other thing I wanted to talk about is in some of these properties, you will still see shoe shine people in front of the bathrooms. Now, if you take a look, a lot of these people, again, I don't know about the ladies section, but in the men's section, a lot of these gentlemen who are doing shoe shines have been there for years and years and years. They're older gentlemen. It's almost a dying art. You rarely see a young one. It's probably something that's getting phased out, and I wouldn't like if my job's getting phased out and their jobs are getting phased out. They're older gentlemen. Don't look past these people. Even if you're not going to get a shoe shine, it'd be nice to even just say hello and greet them, because they look at you like, you know, they ask you with their eyes if they can help you. And I've stopped and gotten shoe shines when I'm wearing shoes and when I'm having the time, and it's not really all that expensive, and they do an amazing job on your shoes, number one, so you are getting what you paid for. But these guys come to life. They feel good. It gives them a sense of satisfaction to do their job, and their job is being phased out. So guys, if you have the time, if you're wearing a pair of shoes, even if you're wearing a nice pair of sneakers, because they do those too, you know, you're getting them $200 Nikes rocking there, you know, get them cleaned up too. They know how to do it. You know, they're keeping on top of all that. So get you a shoe shine. Make these people's day. Greet them, say hello to them. You know, it'll make their day, and it'll make your day to acknowledge them and not walk past them like they're furniture. You know, these are good, hard-working people who've been doing this forever, and they enjoy doing it. So once in a while, let them do their job. Now, we'll get into the 2 most obvious things. The front desk person. We're gonna hang a left up here, I think. So that wasn't too bad a drive. It was bumpy as F. But at night, oh my God. Okay, what did it take? 10 minutes to do that? At night, it would take like an hour and a half. Absolutely nuts. So the 2 most obvious ones that we're gonna cover. First, let's talk about the front desk. Now, mostly everyone has heard about the front desk trick, where you tip the front desk person to get you a better room, get you an upgrade, and all that type of stuff. You know, that's like ubiquitous. Haven't used that word in a while, but it's a ubiquitous type of thing. Circa coming up on the left here. Go check out that video. That place is pretty amazing. I'm planning a daytime tour of that, so stay tuned. So we've all heard about the trick, but a lot of people don't know how to do the trick. They're like, oh, will $20 get me a better room? You know, and that you just sound like a big D when you do that. Will $20 get me a better room? You know, in some cases that might work, but in some cases that just comes off as, kind of D-baggish. So here's how you handle the front desk tip activity. So bear in mind, when you make a reservation in one of these hotels, we're all budget conscious, including myself. So if you score the $99 room at the Palazzo, guess what? It's most likely going to overlook the air conditioning unit or the parking garage or some other industrial looking facility. You know, they're not giving you the primo strip view when they give you a discounted room. So don't get annoyed. See, if you get annoyed when you get the discounted room that you have a view of the air conditioning system, that's on you. Because they're not going to give you, you know, the premium views at the discount prices. So expect that coming in. So you saved a little bit on the room, so you deal with it. But here's what you do at the front desk. You take that as you're checking in. I mean, everyone wants to do the Q code and the barcode and the rush to your room BS. No, if the hotel is still accepting in-person reservations where you actually go to the front desk person, which I recommend you do, otherwise you just get what you get, whatever room they feel like giving you. 4th floor behind the frickin' dumpster, you know, even in the nice places. So take the time, go to the desk. Now here's what you do. Here's how the quote unquote $20 trick works. You have the $20 in your hand, not crumpled up and, you know, sly like you do in the $20 handshake. You have it visible in your hand, and you sit and you stand at the reception and you talk to these people and you ask questions. First, you start with the conversation. You ask the question, what floor is this room on? What does it overlook? What's the view like? So you start with the questions, and they're going to tell you, well, it's on the west side. Now think north, south, east, west. You know, if it's on the west side and you're on the west side of the strip, you know, you're facing the parking garages, maybe a little view of the mountains, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so now that she's or he's established where you're staying, where you paid for, and where they decided to put you according to that, now you say, would an upgrade be available? Now, bear in mind, you have your $20 bill visible. You don't offer it first. You don't go like, hey, I'll give you 20 if you could upgrade me, because that sounds really crass. You know, establish the relationship. So you say, are there any upgrades available? Maybe a higher floor? Can you get me a strip view? I'd really appreciate that. You know, this is my anniversary. This is, you know, I'm retiring next week, whatever, you know. I mean, I'm not saying bullshit people, but, you know, be personable. Make them happy to help you accomplish this. But you got your $20 in your hands, so they know that $20, why else do you have $20 in your hand, you know, on top of the counter when you're checking in? Obviously, they know they're getting it. But the personal conversation, the questions, where first establish where the room is in the first place, you know, and then you ask for the upgrade. Wow, is there any other upgrade? Maybe a higher floor, a strip view or something like that you can hook me up with? And they'll be more than happy to do it if they actually have the room. If they say no and it's like Labor Day weekend, you know, and it's booked, you know, so be it. And then you put your $20 back in your pocket. But if they say, yeah, sure, let me look, sir. What I do, and that's what, as soon as they say, let me have a look, what I do is I take the $20 out of my hand and I leave it in front of me. So basically, I've established that this is yours. Haven't given it to them yet, but I've taken it out of my hand. So basically, it's theirs for the taking. As soon as they say, let me have a look, let me see what I can do, now we're like at, you know, now we're in the middle ground here. You know, now we're at halftime. So that $20, I lay it on the counter. Don't explain what it is, but it's halftime. I laid it on the counter. And then they know what's going on. But you have to do it in a classy fashion. You can't just be like a crass idiot. Hey, give you $20. So you play the game. They play the game, you play the game. And then they're going to say, oh, guess what? I found you a room on the 36th floor overlooking the pools, or it has a beautiful view of the fountain, blah, blah, blah. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. I appreciate you going to all that trouble, and then you slide the $20 forward. Done deal. That is how you handle the front desk, quote unquote, $20 tip trick, and that's how you get upgrades. Don't be a crass idiot about it, but do it in that fashion and it will work. If they generally do have a room for you, they do have an upgrade, and they feel like they can give it to anyone. You know, they can, in their choice, they can give it to anyone they want. You know, it doesn't have to be you. It could be me, it could be the guy behind you. Who's gonna get it is up to them. So if you're, you know, you're acknowledging them, you're treating them with respect, you understand the position that they hold there, and these people don't make a lot of money either. You know, that 20 bucks, if they score, you know, one a night, that's, you know, that's an extra $100 cash. You know, who doesn't want that? So you're acknowledging them, but do it right, do it classy, don't be a jackass about it. And most of the time, if they do have a room, it will work for you, if they like you and you're not being a dumbass. Okay, and now we're gonna get into the most obvious, cocktail waitresses. Cocktail waitresses are the make or break. Do you wanna have drinks on your trip? Do you wanna, that sign looks real nice, can't wait for them to light that up. Do you want them to constantly return to you? Here's how I handle cocktail waitresses. I tip them regardless. I even tip the ones, I had one a couple of nights ago. We're getting back in the bumpy section, so forgive the jostling. I had one the other night that screwed up. All I asked for was coffee. She screwed up my coffee 4 times, and it got to the point where I was annoyed, but then it became humorous. I'm like, come on, you know, it's just coffee. But bear in mind, coffee is probably the most difficult thing for them to serve, because number one, you never get a full cup because they don't want that shit spilling all over their tray. Number two, it's a whole separate procedure than grabbing a Heineken. You know, so that is a little above and beyond. So you think, well, it's just coffee. I tip a little extra for the coffee, especially if they do it the way I asked. But this woman messed up my coffee 4 times. I still gave her a tip. But here's how you handle, if you want to have the drinks flowing when you're at the tables or at the machines, this is what I'd recommend you doing. First of all, you order your drink, your beverage, whatever you happen to be having. I always ask for a water also, so I get 2. So I have my drink and a bottle of water. I have my coffee and I always get a bottle of water. Gotta keep hydrated. But when they come back with it, it doesn't matter if they took 2 minutes or 10 minutes. How I handle that is when they come and they drop it off, I know they're coming, so, you know, why go into your pocket when they're there and interrupt what you're doing and all that? You know, just make things efficient. Have your tip ready. You know you ordered a drink. You know she's coming back, so do yourself and her a service by having your tip ready. You know, not that you got to stand up and search through your pockets for 5 minutes while some dude like me, his coffee's getting cold on a tray. So have your tip ready. But here's what I do. I have 2 tips ready. I have the same amount, the same tip amount, but twice. So if I'm gonna give, say in one location, you know, I know that $1 per is adequate, per drink or whatever, so it's $2. Some places, you know, I'll give $5 per, you know, for my set, my water and my drink, or my water and my coffee, whatever the case may be. Sometimes it's 5, sometimes it's 2, depends on the place. And I got reasoning for that we'll get into another time. But sometimes it's 10, all depends. But whatever your tip amount is, have double. And then when he or she comes, and you don't see a lot of he's, so it's mostly she's, when she comes, the cocktail waitress comes, you give them the first tip, thank you very much, and while they're still there, you say, you take the second tip and you go, here, I want to tip you in advance for my next drink. So if you can come check on me in 5 or 10 minutes, or whatever your threshold is, that's how I do it. Because trust me, they will come back in 5 to 10 minutes. Now, only do that the first time, because when they come and check on you, number one, you already tipped them. Number two, in advance. Number two, you get that flow going. they will actually give you that old school service again where they're checking on you every 5 or 10 minutes. Now, if you're a crappy tipper or a no tipper, or you're in, a high-end place and, you're given 50 cents or $1 and you just bug them for 3 different drinks or whatever, they might not be in a rush to get back to you, because it's a job too. They're gonna go to people like me who give them guaranteed tips every 5 to 10 minutes, and generous ones at that. Not overly generous. I'm not giving away $20 on a drink. I'm not an idiot. I just don't throw money around. I mean, sometimes I do, but they're gonna come back to people like me. And people who aren't that generous or don't know this trick, you accept whatever happens. You know what I'm saying? So that's what you do. You put the one tip out there, thank you very much for the first drink, and you say, here, I want to tip you in advance for the next drink. And if you can come and check on me like every 5 or 10 minutes, I'd really appreciate that. And they will. Whoa, what a bump that was. They will. It works every single time. Now, if you get a shift change and there's somebody else there, well, stuff happens. But most of the time, they will keep checking on you. And another courtesy is, if you're playing machines or you're playing tables, let them know you're moving. If you see them, or if you're ordering a drink, say you're winding down to your stop loss at a game, or you're hitting your win goal at a table, you plan on moving, let them know. Do that courtesy. Just say, I might move, but you'll find me over here or over there. That is a courtesy, and that'll help you too, because you don't have to reorder again. And especially if you did the double tip trick, because, you just double tip them for one drink, and you might not see them again if you're moving, the next craps table. So those are the people who I think always deserve tips. So let's just round that up again. Valet people, like I said, that's bunk. The valet people's, get you whatever you want, blah, blah, blah. That's from the movies. Tip them according to what service they're providing for you. Tip your bathroom attendants. Get a shoe shine if you have the time and it's possible. Tip your housekeepers. Tip the front desk person if they're providing an additional service for you, and tip your cocktail waitresses, and use the double tap trick that I keep talking about. It does work, I guarantee it. And if there's any cocktail waitresses listening, go ahead, drop that in the comments and verify that. So anyone who goes above and beyond, if someone's just doing their job, they're doing their job. You can say this about the bathroom attendants. Well, they're just doing their job. Why should I tip them? But put yourself in their shoes and you'll understand. Dude, come on, wake up. You'll understand why you should tip them. They work in the number 2 poo factory and you don't, so they deserve a little extra tip. But anyone who goes above and beyond for you to make your stay extra special, if you go to a show and you say to them, and if they're going to seat you, and now with the whole, social distancing thing, they're very strict about seating. If you say to the person who's seating you, is there any better seats? Is there anything a little closer that might be available? If they provide that for you, they went above and beyond. If they're just seating you so you don't get lost, I mean, if you're feeling generous, I'm not saying no, yeah, duke them a couple bucks. But if they go above and beyond to make your stay in Las Vegas a little extra special, then they deserve the tip above and beyond. And my last tip on tips is this: always ask. And that's in life in general. Always ask for what you want. Nobody's a freaking mind reader. Nobody's just gonna offer you, hey, you look like a nice guy, how about I put you in a penthouse? Hey, you look like a nice guy, I think I'll sit you in the front. Life doesn't work like that. Hey, you're a nice guy, I think I'm gonna give you a promotion. In life, and in these casinos, which I always say, Las Vegas is a microcosm for the world, learn to ask for what you want in life. And if you get the proper response from the ask, meet it with the proper response from your wallet. So I want to thank everyone for coming along for this little up and down drive we did, little downtown tour action, little strip action as we wrap up here. And I hope you enjoyed this episode. I appreciate you liking, subscribing, sharing, all that good stuff that you guys always do. And I'm going to drop the 9% word of the day. That tells me and it tells YouTube that you stuck around to the very end. I love that. YouTube loves that, and it helps my channel grow, which is affectionately known as the Bror Nation. So I welcome you to the Bror Nation, and I appreciate all that you guys do for me, and I try to give back the best content I possibly can, and I hope today was a good example of that as well. If it made your trip that much better, you could drop that and acknowledge that in the comments. I'd be greatly appreciated. If you feel like supporting the channel, there's many ways you can do it. Go down into the description below. I got links to Patreon, channel memberships, and products that I personally use and personally recommend. I wouldn't steer you towards anything that I don't use, and the list of my video gear is also down there, because that is a very, very common question. You don't have to buy it, but if you want to know what I actually use, it's in there with, you know, all the information. So check that in the description below. Oddly enough, I'm sitting in worse traffic now than downtown. But here we go. So I'll take you for this little bit of a strip cruise. But I got work to do today. Plus, I'm going to edit this video for everyone. Hope everyone's having an absolute special day, wherever you are, whatever time it is. And on that note, Bror Fredrik out.